reason is maybe these people has a beautiful face or body.
Okay, it's better to say those people who are attractive may become famous as they can use their beauty in such professions as acting and advertising. So try to be very specific here. You should say those people who are attractive, okay, which means that they have a beautiful face or body. And then the examiner wants to know why. Okay, so you have to provide the first reason, and then you have to provide the second reason, and therefore you should say as they can use their beauty in such professions as acting. So there's a strong link between acting and being attractive, and advertising and again being attractive, because only attractive people take part in advertising. Okay, so what is the strategy? The strategy is provide the first step and then explain by giving some relevant examples. Okay, now let's move on. Okay, now let's move on.
People have special talents.
Okay, it's better to say secondly, those who have special talents have the potential to become famous. Okay, in this case, have the potential means have the opportunity to become famous. And here was like we are talking about the second step, right? So it's better to say secondly and then talk about this. Let's move on.
Yeah, thank you. Is this different from the kind of achievement that made people famous in the past? In what way?
Maybe in the past, I think people needed to do more hard than now.
Okay, it's better to say previously people had to work harder to achieve success and fame. Okay, so instead of saying in the past, try to use a more complex word previously. Okay, which means in the past, and then people had to. We're talking about the past simple, therefore had to work harder. Okay, but the examiner wants to know why to achieve success and to achieve fame. Okay, so expand your ideas. Explain exactly why people had to work harder. Okay, now let's move on.
For example, I heard about a news like the.
Okay, now you don't want to say I heard about a news like. It's better to say, for example, according to the news I heard. Number one, the word news is an uncountable noun. You can't count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and therefore you can't say a. All right, so it's better to say the news I heard, because you are talking about the specific news that you heard.
Jackie Chan, when he became a famous, he always like did several jobs.
Okay, now number one, you can't say Jackie Chan and then he at the same time, okay? Because it's like avoid any redundancy. So Jackie Chan and then became. You can't say he here because the examiner already understands that you're talking about Jackie Chan. Okay, next, you can't say a famous, only a famous person or a famous actor, right? You can't use a before an adjective. And okay, and then you can't say like, but you must say only liked. Okay, now let's just look at my version. In order for Jackie Chan to become famous, he had to be versatile, doing several jobs on a regular basis. Okay, so here we're talking about the purpose. In order to achieve a particular goal, he had to take several steps. So this is your strategy. Okay, so a goal and then a step. So in order for Jackie Chan to become famous, he had, we're talking about the past simple, had to be versatile and in doing several jobs on a regular basis. Okay.
So I think that's it maybe it's more and harder than now.
Okay, instead of saying maybe harder than now, it's better to say by contrast, people nowadays doing only one job can become famous. So we are trying to show a contrast, to show a huge difference. In the past, he had to do several jobs. Now people can have only one job and they can still become famous. So use this linking device by contrast. People nowadays, because before we said previously, nowadays doing only one job can become famous. Okay, use modal verbs to impress the examiner. Every IELTS examiner really likes modal verbs, so use can, should, must, might, and so forth to impress the examiner. Okay.
Okay. How do you think people will become famous in the future?
I think in the future, people need to have a special talent to absorb the others' attraction.
Yeah, I think here you said the word observe, which was a little bit unclear here. Okay, so it's better to say I think that people will need to have a special talent to draw public attention. Okay, so instead of saying I think, it's better to say I assume. Why? Because it's a very good word, right? To impress the examiner, I assume that. And then people will need to. We're talking about the future simple because the question is will become. Therefore, will need to have a special talent to do what? To draw public attention. So use this collocation to draw somebody's attention. Okay.
And the other reason people needed to do hardly.
Okay, remember you can't say hardly, only hard, because the word hardly has another meaning. Hardly means slightly. For example, I hardly understand you, which means I understand you, but very, very little, only 1 or 2%. Okay. So it's better to say, in addition to this, people will have to work harder in the future, okay, to become famous because of competition. Okay, so now you want to provide some extra information, so use this phrase in addition to this. It's a linking device, and then people will have to, again, we're talking about the future because will become, therefore will have to work harder in the future. Why? To become famous, right? And then, but the examiner wants to know why they will need to work harder because of competition. And the examiner will say, oh, okay, now it's clear. Okay, so always explain, always expand your ideas. Let's move on.
Thank you. What are the good things about being famous? Are there any disadvantages?
I think the good things is that people can earn a lot of money and they can buy everything that they want.
Okay, it's better to say one of the benefits or one of the advantages of becoming famous is that such people can earn an excellent living. You can also say earn a great deal of money and can buy anything they want. Okay, so the keywords are the good things of. So we're talking about the advantages. So one of the advantages, or one of the benefits of, after of, make sure to use ing, of becoming famous. Okay, being famous, becoming famous is that such people, we know what kind of people we're talking about. We're referring back to our previous statement, thus creating a very strong link. can earn an excellent living. The expression earn an excellent living means earn a lot of money. You can also say earn a great deal of money, which also means earn a lot of money, and can buy, okay, here you just write everything, not everything, but anything they want. So try to remember this phrase. Okay, now let's move on.
But there are some disadvantage, like some news we can hear about some famous stars drunks, and it can be bad influence to teenagers in the public.
Okay, now it's better to paraphrase it a little bit to say one of the disadvantages of this, however, is that, okay, those famous people who develop unhealthy habits such as binge drinking can become negative role models for younger generations and the general public. Okay, so here we want to say not just a drunk, but we're talking about binge drinking. Binge drinking means drinking alcohol all the time in large amounts. Okay, so binge drinking, it's a very bad habit, and we need to be very specific. Develop unhealthy habits. Okay, and then you say like can be bad influence to teenagers. That's okay, but you should say they can influence teenagers negatively, probably. Or okay, or you can also say that they might have a negative effect on teenagers, or you can also say become negative role models for younger generations and the general public. You can say the public, you can also say the general public.
Thank you. How does the media in your country treat famous people?
I'm not sure, because in my country, media always like focus on their things that people want to know, but they don't want to choose the factor things.
Okay, it's better to say in China, the media usually focus on what people are interested in rather than true facts. Okay, so here again you're talking about your country, so be specific. You want to say in China. Okay, the media usually focus on what people are interested in, right? Because you're interested in something, and here rather than what? Rather than true facts. Let's move on.
Why do you think ordinary people are interested in the lives of famous people?
In my view, I think because the famous people looks like the stars in the sky, they want to focus and maybe copy their some actions.
Okay, so number one, again, you don't want to say in my view and I think. You have to choose only one. So in my view or I think. Next, you don't want to say the famous people, just famous people. Okay, why not? Because we don't know exactly what kind of famous people we're talking about. We're talking about any famous people. So we don't need to use the definite article the here. Next, you don't want to say looks like. Remember, you must use S only for he, she, it. So one person looks, a man looks, a woman looks, but people only look, never looks. Okay. Again, don't use maybe, because you don't sound very confident. So please avoid this word. Okay, now let's just look at my response. as famous people are always the center of attention, their fans do their best to emulate their actions, habits, and interests. Okay, so the question is, why do you think ordinary people are interested in the lives of famous people? And here I provide several reasons. Number one, they want to emulate, which means copy their actions. Number one, habits. Number two, interests. Number three. Okay, so in here I'm also creating a very complex sentence, as and then something. So so here, as, this is a cause, okay, and this is the result. So it's very important to use this strategy. Okay, let's move on.
They have some like the in front of the productions, if like people want to follow them.
Okay, it's better to say some famous people are involved in what? Advertising products, okay, which become quite popular with the general population. So the idea is not production, right? But it's better to be more specific. So they advertise products, and because of this, people start buying these products, right? And then these products become famous because these people are also famous, those who advertise these products. Good. Thank you very much for listening and analyzing all of these responses. Once again, if you want to maximize your IELTS speaking band, you can use my speaking correction service by visiting my website, IELTSformula1.com. Good luck.